Hello, everybody. We're live and welcome to Virtual Vision FM, your platform to all things spiritual. And my name is Nina Ashby, and I'm doing the presenting tonight alongside my host, Reverend Ted Woodruff. So, hello, Ted. Good evening. And our wonderful person behind the scenes, a co-host who won't be really working with us except behind the scenes tonight is Era Parisian and Nick Humphreys, who's winging his way to Norway very shortly. So it's just Ted and I tonight, and on behalf of all of our co-hosts here on Virtual Vision FM, we want to wish you a really, really happy evening together with us. We have a very special guest this evening, but we're not going to bring her in just yet. I'd just like to ask Ted, what you've been up to this week? Have you been doing all kinds of interesting things with your at the turns?
Yes, always. As always, Wednesday evening is the Healing Exchange, which is essentially free of charge for people to come. But we also have a reader every Wednesday as well, who sits in my little boudoir behind me and does private readings for people. And we are now 20 strong, or at least we had 20 guests turning up on Wednesday again, maybe more than that.
Amazing.
So it's gone from half a dozen sort of back in the day to start with, which were essentially sort of a group of friends getting together, to really, really taking off. And it's got to the point now where we're going to have to expand into another room or two, or open up the studio and sheds in the garden and have a bit of a clear out or whatever to accommodate either the readings and or another healing room. So that's absolutely great. There's just something that happened today. I was on another radio show, and I can make a quick reference to it with my old mucker Stan Donnelly, who runs the OSB show, which is a wonderful meaning to the word OSB when you actually find out what it means, because it's one step beyond, which is one of his favourite songs as well. And I was on there today, and bless her, my co-host, who was a lady, was reading out some comment on the "Well, I ask you" question, which they do, and she read LOL as lots of love. Bless her heart. She claims now that she was laughing while she was doing it, but she did actually misread it. And I always remember back in the day, 10 years ago, when it was all starting out, I did actually manage to convince someone that LOL meant little old ladies, and they went for it, line and finger. But she did it, and that was lovely today. The other thing that's happened today, and I'm never negative as a rule about anything, but there is just something that happened a week ago, and karma came to my aid today, and it's something I'm just going to share with the listeners who will probably resonate with it. Every so often, just every so often in the spiritual zone, there is someone who strolls in and creates a little bit of maybe issues. Either they're coming with attachment, or they're coming with a negativity in their life, or whatever. But a week ago, I was at an event, and I was engaging with someone, and when I walked away from them, a very dear friend of mine said, "Do you realize that that person actually told me some months ago that you're a fake?" And of course, I am so not a fake, for one thing, and I work with spirit very powerfully or whatever, and I'm not aware of anybody ever having made that suggestion. But it was rather strange that having engaged with that person on a perfectly amiable basis like I do, to then hear from an absolutely trusted source, and the wife, I might add, at the same time, and they basically said that I was a fake, and that somebody who had received healing from me had felt nothing at all. Well, that you're taken a little bit, oh, what's that all about? Because no one who has ever come to me has not felt anything. No one who's ever come to me has ever walked away without having been sorted out by the divine energies, not myself. As I repeat regularly, we are but channels for this. And so it was a mystery to me as to how this person had got that information into their head, and had been around at a time when I was healing, or knew of anybody in the zone of my client base, or indeed people who turned up at a fair. Well, today this person came ambling over when I made a visit to a fair just to support support a gift section that I
Mm-hmm.
share with someone. And this same person came ambling over while I was talking to another particularly close friend. I have a lot of really good associates and good people. And she interrupted the conversation, to which the lady I was talking to was very abrupt and said, you've interrupted what was a very important and deep conversation. And no, you're not going to do healing on my husband, which the lady was trying to sort of enforce. To which the lady then turned to me and started to engage. And I looked at her and I said, but I'm a fake. And she looked at me and I said, you told a good friend of mine that I'm a fake. No, I haven't. I said, but you have. I said, oh, she said, I said, you explained that somebody I worked on felt nothing and I'm a fake. She said, no, it was when we were at an event some months ago and you were performing psychic surgery and I felt nothing. Because she was next door to me. Well, I mean, she wasn't receiving it. She was actually standing watching or beside
Mm-hmm.
behind the couch. And I gently and yet firmly explained to her that, one, if she's not actually immediately receiving healing from me, then she's not going to feel anything herself. I don't know what she was anticipating to sense or feel. Some people do feel something in the
Mm-hmm.
zone if they're within your sort of ether. But to say it's kind of dangerous, and I would never, ever, ever speak badly about any other person who works in spirit, because karma comes around, and and you get to hear, and it's very, very strange that I don't have to ask questions of anybody, but I always get to hear something about something, if that makes sense. If somebody has
Sure.
spoken about me, somebody will, whether it takes weeks or months or years, sometimes they come back and they say, so and so said something about you. It's mostly positive, fortunately. Very, very rarely negative, because I don't live in a negative environment. But I just sort of put that out there that, one, if you work in spirit very powerfully, they have your back. And they put good people around you. And secondly, that if you want to mess with the angels and the archangelics and powerful spirit guides, it's not a plan. Because if you are of that nature, you will get found out either by the individual that you're bad mouthing, and or spirit will intervene and have a little word and put other people right. It's a shame it happens, but realistically, every so often, fortunately, very, very rarely, there are moments that the people out of ego or ignorance can diss you or try to take you down. It's just human nature, and I remember 20 years ago thinking that spiritual people would be absolutely wonderful people, all working in love and light, all with the same ethos and mantras and whatever. Sadly, it is absolutely not the case, but fortunately, 99.9% of those working with spirit and guides and angels, archangels, and the whole extraordinary divine energy that channels through all of us are wonderful, wonderful, true people. But the odd little Nephilim, the odd little demon, the odd little naughty one creeps in sometimes. And fortunately, they put that oomph at your elbow that you say the right thing without being too harsh, but you make your
Mm.
point, and they kind of can't cope with the light. They back off, so you don't have to be too harsh. Because I don't like that sort of thing anyway, and I don't even like confronting somebody who's done that. But I dealt with it in a way of saying that, I wouldn't mess with them if I were you, and perhaps just for today, you'll step away from me and we may reconnect in the future. So I left it kind of nicely, but it's a shame when folk do that.
Well,
Anyway,
Ted, you
enough of
know what
that.
they say, what goes around comes around. And we're all learning, and therefore it
Yes.
needs to come around, positive or negative. We're all on the path of learning, and certainly that's why we're here at Virtual Vision FM, to be able to share our experiences of our work and to hear from people who are likewise experienced and expert, have great expertise in their field and are still in that learning process. They have the humility to say, I thought I did it, I didn't do it. Well, but I'm learning, and we're human. So, thank you for sharing that very much. And I'd like you now to do the other thing that you share so beautifully, which is your 1 minute me moment for those of our viewers who are currently with us or those who are listening in our archived program. This is Ted's little contribution to us being able to set the scene and tune in a very easy way. So over to you, Ted.
Absolutely, and thank you. And yes, just following on from what Nina said, this is a platform to discuss all things sort of spiritual and esoteric and out the box and all of that. And yes, to explain some experiences sometimes and what's happened in our day or our week is useful. I certainly listen to others you know, you never learned everything or know everything by no means. There's much more to come in my life. Wonderful things that I will learn, and also to be cautious of, just to be cautious sometimes and make sure you do what I'm going to suggest to you now, which is the 1 minute me moment, which does take actually more than a minute to explain, but a minute to do, and increasing gradually maybe to 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes over the weeks and the months. The important thing in life, and as I say, I don't know where this originated from, except it came into my head that, you know, we're encouraged to do 20 minutes of exercise a day or every 3 days or whatever. But as far as our spiritual and our etheric sort of body, we don't necessarily take time out each day for ourselves. I'm just as guilty of that as anybody. I'm just a guy, just a normal human being who has his frailties, his weaknesses, and his wondrous things as well happening in his life. And it occurred to me that if you took 1 minute out of your day just to think about yourself and to connect with your guides, whether they be angels, in my case, and archangels or whatever, or spirit guides of Native American, or a loved one who's passed to spirit, and all those that are working with you on the earth plane and are still with us down here, your guides can be alive or have made the transition, is to spend a minute. School, the partners are at work or whatever, or you can take a minute out of your lunch break at work where you've got a quiet moment to sit on a chair and close your eyes and just chill for this 1 minute. To close your eyes and concentrate on your breathing, and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and in through your mouth and out through your nose. That makes you concentrate on your breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, into the mouth, out through the nose. And at the same time, imagine that there's a line connecting your ankles while you've got your feet flat on the floor, or the ground, or the earth, or the grass, or wherever you are. On the grass is good, on natural Mother Earth is good. Imagine a vine connecting the ankles, and then another vine in the middle of that one that's going down deep into Mother Earth and attaching itself to a rock, a boulder, or a tree trunk so that you're fully grounded into Mother Earth. And again, at the same time as you're breathing, you're grounding. Imagine a golden or white aura around yourself of eggshell of protection, like the Weetabix, Ready Breck, that's two companies I've now advertised. Ready Breck kid back in the day in the UK, which had an aura of gold around him. And imagine that sort of scenario, and that's your aura of protection. So you're grounded and you're protected. And for the minute that you're doing all of that, connect with your loved ones, your guides, as I said before, whether they be in spirit or whether they still be with us, whether they be angels, archangels, Native Americans, Tibetan monks, all sorts, Buddha, whomsoever. I'm a reverend of the Universal Life Church, so all religions, all backgrounds, all healing modalities are open to all, as I believe. And do that for 1 minute each day. And if you practice it and you do it, it does work. And it will reduce the hassle and the income of any negativity to naught. It will keep you grounded to Mother Earth so you don't float off etherically in your mind. And as I say, the protective aspect so works because it's about the intent to protect yourself. Intent is so incredibly powerful. If you have the intent to heal, if you have the intent to lay hands on someone and to help them to heal, then the divine energy will do the rest. So with the intent of grounding, with the intent of protection, it will work and it will make a difference. So give it a try for a week or two, see what you think, and if it's not for you, don't do it. but it will be for you because it works for all that I've ever spoken to about it. So that's my 1 minute me moment from the Rev Ted, and back to Nina to introduce our this week.
Thank you so much, Ted. That's inspirational as always, and hope you've all enjoyed it in the chat room and in the archived listings. Right, so we have a very special guest tonight whose name is Shawn Cohen. She happens to be an American compatriot of mine and a friend of mine, and I'm very, very pleased and welcome to give her a big welcome. She's been on the show once before, and we invited her back to share her fabulous gifts with us. So, Shawn, welcome. Come into our frame, please.
Hi, Nina. Hi, Ted.
Hi.
And
Hi, nice to see you again.
Hello,
hi,
Shawn. So it's wonderful to see you again and have you on Virtual Vision FM as our featured guest. And there may be people who have joined in our chat room today on our webinar who don't know about you and the work you do. So could you just give us a little bit of background about how you got into this work, how you discovered your gift or your gifts, shall we say, and inspire us?
Thanks, Nina. Well, I think it was some people are born psychic and some people develop psychic ability. I think I was born psychic. It was, I had a very interesting birth. I won't bore you with all the details, but I was born in what they call the caul, which is like the webbing. The baby's born within the amniotic fluid, so the sac is still intact. And this is an old Irish wives' tale that when the baby's born like this, they are psychic. So there's a whole story at my birth about this. My Irish grandmother, who lived in New York, I was born in Pittsburgh. When my mother had me, she was like, oh my God, what's wrong with her? Because I was still blue. I hadn't breathed air yet, even though I was born. And the doctor opened the webbing and he said, no, she's fine, it's all right. And so my father had told my grandmother, that's my mother's mother, that I was born. My Irish grandmother was very psychic herself, and she said to my father, oh, I knew she was born, I heard a baby cry. So this is 1,500 miles away. She had heard a baby cry, and she knew that that was a signal from possibly her guides that I had been born. So I grew up in a very interesting, household where even though my mother knew her own mother was psychic, when I started showing psychic ability again and again and again, it wasn't really promoted. It was more, it was like, oh, the phone's ringing, Shawn, who's on it? And so, I used to get that. So if I said, oh, it's so-and-so, then I was right. And that was about the extent of it. I used to have a lot of dreams. The dreams were very, very profound. And even as a child, even at, I remember things at 4 years old, dreaming and experiences. And so, my gift was always there. But of course, it's no good having a gift if you don't use it and if you don't develop it. So I think that my mission was, unbeknownst to me in this lifetime, at the time, to become who I became. But it was quite a shock for me when I really owned it. And my first boyfriend died. I didn't know that he had died. I was away from him. We weren't together at the time anymore. And I saw a spirit. I saw his spirit, but I didn't know it was him, because my ability to see spirit wasn't as developed because I was still a novice. And so that situation happened to me in 1979. I was 23 years old. But I couldn't let go of it. My friends were like, well, he died. That's terrible. He was only 25. And, get on with your life. But I couldn't get on with my life because I had that profound experience. and he would come to me a lot in my dreams and tell me, oh, I'm not really dead. And I remember thinking, well, if you're not really dead, where are you? I don't understand this, you know. So in 1979, there wasn't a lot of, I mean, the book that helped me, I said this before on the show, was Raymond Moody's, Dr. Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life. And I found that book in Pittsburgh. I was very lucky to find it, and it really helped me. It helped me to understand there is life after death. It was about near-death experiences, which were unheard. People weren't even talking about these things back then. So that piqued my interest. Well, I've had this experience. It's completely changed me. I thought I was going to, I mean, at the time I was majoring in, when I was in university, college, I was majoring in English literature and film. Then I moved into psychology. Now I knew psychology wasn't it either. It was going to be, they didn't even have a word for it back then. But when I went back to LA and I went back to school, one of my psychology professors told me about parapsychology. These were new words. These words were not known to many people in that time, not like today. So I then was very lucky and very synchronistically led to a school of metaphysics. And that school was the school for me. And I spent 3.5 years there. I also did their nurses training. I finished up my degree in psychology. I was I left school to go to that school. I didn't finish my degree, but went back later and finished up some of the credits that I needed. So I ended up with psychology. I've done a lot of other training too, like in filmmaking as well, which I really like, and writing, which I really like. So it all came good in my life. I moved over to London in 1985. I graduated from school in 83, and my destiny was clearly to be here. And many years later, I met Nina. But I was working in Mysteries in Covent Garden, which is a very well-known New Age shop, and I was lucky enough to get a job there, and it was really a proving ground. So, but before I came over here, I forgot to say that I did also train in past life regression. So I've been a past life regressionist since 1984. I have a degree in metaphysics since 1983, nursing and psychology, and you know, I spent 30 years now in London. Of course, I've traveled. I worked in Israel. I worked in Italy. I lived in Italy. I lived in Israel. I've worked in Cyprus. I lived there. You know, you name it, I've been to it, and I have cards will travel. I've been back and forth to the States many, many times, of course, and I've even recently I've worked in Sarasota, Florida, in a place called Elysian Fields for a year. When my daughter was little, I was doing readings there, and my big 50th birthday, I went back to Pittsburgh, and this is after another boyfriend of mine died. An ex-boyfriend, and he was an ex-heavyweight boxer. His name was Art, and that was a very profound sort of, for me, it was a Chiron return experience. You hit Chiron in your chart in astrology, it hits every 50 years, or 48, 50 years, and I was 48, and I had another profound psychic experience, very similar to the first one I had, only now I had all the training. And that was 9 years ago, so I've learned a lot. My journey has been as a teacher of metaphysics, but a lot of it's been as a student. It still is.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because you know, everybody who I know as a professional psychic or astrologer goes through an individual journey where you're born with a talent and a gift, and yet you still have to study and develop that gift, and everybody comes into their own in a very unique and different way. And it's so interesting, and I hope everybody who's listening finds it interesting too, because most people don't start out wanting to be a reader. they start out living their life, and spirit pushes them in that direction, wouldn't you say?
I would definitely say that, unless you're lucky enough to be born into a family who's very aware of what's happening with the child and how they're developing and isn't crushing their psychic spirit and
Mm-hmm.
telling them that they're making things up or they don't see what they see, which is really torturous. It's like telling someone who has a great hand in art never to draw, or
Right.
someone who has a gift, an ear for music, never to sing, or play a piano. So, these are gifts. These are soul gifts that we bring in, and the world needs them. God only knows how much the world needs them today. As they,
Indeed.
and Nina, you and I were similar in age, and we've been, and Ted too, and Ara, I'm sure. So the moral of the story is we have been pioneers in this. You see, when I was doing this, there was no degree in metaphysics, but I was lucky.
Exactly.
But I don't know if it's my Aries consciousness, which is a pioneering spirit anyway. But that was when I found that school, and in the school I learned, you name it, numerology, astrology, tarot, esoteric laws, universal laws, angelology, laying on the hands for healing, herbal medicine, alternative medicine, working with spirit, working with chakras, balancing chakras, seeing auras, you name it, we read the books, you name it, we learned it. So I was very lucky.
You
And
were.
the dean of my school, it was her dream to open this college. We say college in America, don't we, Nina? But we
We
mean
do.
university,
Right.
college, university,
School of
college,
School of Learning.
right? And she was, I was lucky to be able to. I was definitely led there. It was the funny.
Absolutely.
I was pushed there. I wasn't pushed. Once I heard about it, I dropped everything and enrolled. So I knew I was meant to be there. And but believe
Very
it or
lucky.
not, here is the funny thing too. I'm not bragging because I wouldn't say this, because I've taught people how to be psychic, how to tune in, how to develop mediumship, how to develop and work with their energy and their aura and whatever. And it's hard. It's not easy. If
Yes.
it was easy, everyone would do it. But
That's
when
right.
I was in school, 1981, 2, 3, um, it became so easy to me. I can't explain. I was in a place that I had never been to before, this school. I certainly didn't learn these things anywhere else. And yet it was like I knew them all. Every single one that I was learning was like, oh, that's so familiar. Oh, of course, it makes sense.
It's
Oh, yes, that makes.
remembering.
So, obviously my soul's been doing it a long time.
Exactly.
And
So,
yeah.
so now you do, you teach, you do readings. What, could you talk a little bit about the readings that you give, the different kinds of readings, and perhaps why you give different kinds of readings and what value each of these different kinds of readings has?
On my website, I have lists of things that people can choose from because, again, these are all my different skills. So if you want to have a tarot reading, it's never a tarot reading. For me, it's a psychic medium tarot reading. And what that
Okay.
means is that it will be psychic. I will tune in. I will tune into you. I will tune into your higher self. I will tune into your guide. I will tune into anything pertaining to the past, the present, or the future. And,
Okay.
I may even get the odd past life in there because I'm a past life regressionist as a professional past life regressionist. So I don't willy-nilly throw out, oh, that was you in a past life. I want people to see it for themselves. That's a whole process. It takes 4 or 5 hours. It's a different story altogether, and they see it, and I'm with them, tuned into them. But as far as the reading is about an hour long, sometimes I go over, sometimes it's 2 hours. Depends on the issue with the individual person. And the reason that I do that is because my psychology degree comes in, my nursing degree comes in. So I want to help that person, not just on a, oh, when are you going to get your next boyfriend, you know, but actually to deal with the mind, body, soul issue. So I look at the past with them, and we sort out what we can about the past. If a person comes to me and their past is all sorted, they're not interested, and they just want to look at the present, they just want to look at what's up ahead, any issue, then whatever issue comes up, whether it's, you know, I need to work on my job, I don't like what I'm doing, I want to find what I came here to do, then we go into that and we look. Sometimes I have to go back to the past in order to clear up the energy that might be blocking the person for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a full-on reading, you know, and the little mini readings that I do on, you know, on the radio shows that I've been on, they're just a couple minutes, aren't they? They're just a sliver of what I do, you know, but I like to do a thorough job, so I tend to spend a lot of time with my clients. And with astrology, we have, when I do astrology, I look at the person's chart. The chart is, for me, the soul of that human being. It is that person's purpose in this lifetime. It is from the moment of birth, why they came here, why they chose the parents they chose, and of course, metaphysics teaches us we do choose our families. Sometimes for contrast, and sometimes for connection. So you can choose a family that you absolutely have constant discord because you're learning how not to be like that person or like that story. And sometimes you choose because you've been around 1,000 million times with a sister or brother or parent, and you love them and you just want to be with them again and have another life with them again. And maybe in the last life you were their mother, and this time you're their daughter. You know, it's that kind of story. So people say, oh, I would have never chose that family. I don't know anyone that comes from a family more insane than my own. So believe me, if I hold my hand up and say, oh yes, metaphysics teaches us we chose those people, then I have to say that it's true, you know, and maybe all that chaos, in my personal case, contributes to a springboard of finding out something different, maybe not going down a traditional path. You know, in my instance, my parents weren't traditional on any level. My father was Jewish, my mother was Catholic. That was a huge thing in the 50s. That was, you know, unheard of in the 50s. And, you know, ultimately that opened a lot of doors for me because it wasn't adherence to any which way. I had both sort of featured in my life, you know. And I went beyond that too, which is what metaphysics teaches you, right? So I just open the door for people. I like to guide them through it. I like to help them onto the next level. And sometimes I help them in a very profound way. You know, I've had people come to me with issues of abuse, marital abuse, counsel. I've done all kinds of counseling. I've done counseling in Israel with an Arab wife and a Jewish husband, and I'm sitting there counseling them. But it was great because they ended up getting back together and they love each other dearly. So, you know, there's always hope.
So I have a question for you. What do you think the difference between a psychic reading and counseling is? Or is there an overlap, or is there are they the same? Are they the same difference? What do you?
Well,
what's
you
your
know,
take on it?
a counselor's not going to say, "Oh, your Uncle Charlie's here." That's mediumship. And the
Right.
counselor's not going to say, "Oh, I see in the future that you're going to meet someone with red hair." A counselor is never going to say that. But there are rules to counseling, which is, and you understand them sometimes, and it's important, I think, for all psychics and mediums and teachers, anyone who works with people, to learn the difference between when a person is upset, when they're projecting, when they're hiding, you know, to understand their emotional, let's call it, for a funny word, rainbow, you know, because I think we do have all these different hues and colors within us. And would you know that, Nina? Could you draw, you know, the aura? You understand that. So
Of course.
Yeah, so I think, and doing readings for men is different than doing readings for women. I think women are a lot of women, and I know that stereotype, but women are more open and keen to find out what's going on with them, what can they do to fix it, make it better, change, get better, be healthier. I find with my men clients, they're more interested in, will I succeed in life? Will I find my soulmate? They haven't
Mm-hmm.
already. So it's a very yin yang story, because yin is within and yang is without, and so you have the women folk of the world really, opening that door of transformation. Not all of them, of course, but they're open to it. Whereas with men, I don't know a psychic who has more men clients than women. Do you?
No,
Right.
but I see a fair number of men.
I do too, but I know that my majority is women. So when
Sure.
I do my metaphysics classes, I have men I've lovely, wonderful, gorgeous men who've come to it. They're open, they're very spiritual, they want to find out who they are, what's their purpose, how can they. Sometimes they're very gifted in various ways. I've had some of them go on to become naturopaths, psychologists, holistic healers, because you want to serve. The whole point is service, I think, ultimately,
That's
whether
right.
you're a psychic, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a medium, whether you're a healer, it's all about service. And
I
this
think
life,
that's a
yeah,
that's a really good point, Shawn, because sort of like the triangle, isn't it? You, the person, spirit, or source, and making that triangle so that you are the facilitator for something to happen, for that person to be inspired to
that's
do
right.
something for themselves. And
And
that's all about service.
yeah. So this thing about competition, I hate competition. I find it makes my stomach turn. I want Every human being is here for their own reason. They
Mm-hmm.
choose to come here. Nobody threw them in a body. Okay? They set up their life. I don't care what anyone says, it's nonsense. Okay? Every single human being fought long and hard to get here.
Mm-hmm.
Just going through the birth canal is long and hard work, you know? And
Indeed.
so, well, it is, and so people whine about their lives and they're so miserable. And, it's funny that Ted was talking, I'm not going to bring this up too long, but Ted was talking about that he got insulted. And that is an
Mm-hmm.
insult. That is definitely an insult for someone who's worked
Of
as
course.
long and hard as he. I had something. It's something. You know why? Because Neptune is squaring. Neptune's in Pisces, which can be illusion and
Mm-hmm.
fantasy, but it can also be deviousness, right? And I had something very similar that just happened to me, where I have been involved with another radio show called on Blog Talk Radio, which I won't mention. And the host has been one of my clients. He begged me to come on. It didn't come on for a long time because I just wasn't interested. And then he finally convinced me, and I did. And that was 5 years ago. And I've been on that show, been helping him with that show, he calls me sister. He's out of New York. And some moron came on the show, and I mean moron, and there are moronic people out there. Oh my God, they are so dumbed down, you can't even get through to them. And he basically insulted me.
Mm-hmm.
He insulted me in a way that was all about him, that he needed to put me down so he could feel better. I don't
Mm.
know this man. I have nothing to do with this man. It's attacking anyone's psychic, but I was there. I was the person who was attacking. And he's a friend of Rick's, of this other guy that runs the show. And I gave him the whole play-by-play experience. And he didn't do anything. He didn't go and say anything to this man. And I thought, for 5 years I've been supporting your show, I've been there for you. Come on, I've done loads of readings for free for people on the show just to get his ratings up and help him. And guess what, folks? Turns out he's no friend either. Just
Well, in the
imagine.
end,
It's in the air right now, so Ted shouldn't feel so bad. And I think what it is competition, jealousy, people who don't understand what we do. You're either a fraud, a fake, a phony, you're a liar, you're a cheater. You know, it's all bullshit. It's sad. And so, because if you said to someone, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, oh, what kind of doctor are you? If you say, oh, I'm a professional psychic, oh, gee, should we laugh now or later? You know.
right.
And I've had that all my life. So my heart goes out to Ted. He's not alone. I've had that myself. It is unnerving and miserable and pure sheer ignorance. It's like racism. It's really ignorance.
Well, we're here to dispel ignorance.
That's
And
right.
so I'm very happy that you've shared your experience and Ted shared your experience. And I'm sure that everybody who's been involved in the spiritual world has gone through a questioning process as to, is this real? Is it my imagination? And then gone through their own journey of finding, and you deny going again, when you go against what you know from a higher level and do what you think you should do, or put down things that aren't visible because you don't understand them, that in the end you have to come back to the truth, which is, you know what, I should have listened to myself.
Yeah.
Your deeper self, you know.
Yeah.
So
But
astrology,
there is a proper training for our work, and it takes years of study. People don't understand that. It's not like, oh, I just went down the local shop and bought a deck of cards and made it up as I went along.
that's
Years
right.
and years of training, learning, teachers, educators, books. I have shelves and shelves of books in my house. I don't have room for any more books, but over my life I've probably read 10,000 books, you know? And you need that information. Astrology itself is something that takes years to learn. Now, tarot takes years to learn. You know, numerology, palmistry, healing, laying on the hands for healing. These are all things that take an investment not only in your time and money to do them, but it takes that desire to do the homework. I mean, astrology is so detailed, people don't even realize.
Well, let's say just now that you are very willing to, you've volunteered to do some readings for people.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we have people in the room.
Okay.
And we've had one person, Shelley, has made a comment on our discussion before we get into the reading segment. And she said, a lot of people call psychics because they're angry. That's really interesting, Shelley. What would you have to say about that, Shawn?
Put my glasses on for that one. I don't know about that. I don't have people calling me screaming down the phone, can I make an appointment? I'm furious. I think that's not true. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I think if people are angry, then they're angry. But I have people who call me because they're in grief. I have people call me because they're thrilled, they're happy. They just met the guy of their dreams. Just got the job of their dreams. So I don't think that's true. Sorry. That may be true for some people, but that's definitely not true for every client. No way.
I think that I agree that people can be angry, they can be frustrated, but they're not calling because they're angry at the psychic world. They're angry in their lives and don't know how to handle it, and they're looking for some guidance.
Yeah.
But they're not all angry.
No, that's ridiculous. A lot people come in joy. They come in happiness. They come, oh, I'm getting married next week. I have people come to me, and another lovely lady I did a show for out of Florida. Her daughter's best friend was getting married, and she asked me to do a chart, a reading for the bride. So that was a
Mm-hmm.
gift. And she was
It's
thrilled to
lovely.
have it. Yeah, what a great gift. And in fact, I will say, with that, I never give, it's all very personal, but that particular client's brother had died. And I was able to bring through that brother and lovely, beautiful messages for his sister on her wedding day, for her wedding. So, and also, and we never mention this, but, mediums also bring through, well, I do, everyone works differently, but I bring through pets. There's no greater joy than hearing from a beloved cat or dog or rabbit, or I've had horses, snakes, you name it. I've had them come through. And that in itself, I mean, I love that part of my work. I just, because it just tickles me. It's just the most amazing thing. I always cry when they come through because they're so beautiful. Their energy and spirit is so loving. And sometimes, people have had to put their pets to sleep because they've been so ill. So imagine the gift of hearing from that pet and how the guilt is alleviated because we've all had to do it if we've had older pets that have been very, very ill, and it's heartbreaking. There's no question about it. Nobody does it joyfully. And we want to know, did our pet get to the other side okay? Is our pet okay? Do they exist after this? And
Mm-hmm.
I've brought through some beautiful messages. It just reminds me of someone who had to put their beautiful, I think this dog was about 12 or 13 years old. And that was old in that species, that particular pedigree of dog. And it had cancer, right? And the dog came through. Now, how does the dog give me a message? The dog shows me pictures in my head and feelings. So it's not like talking like bark, bark, Although I could hear a bark. Well, I'm just explaining to your listeners.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Everybody's really interested in this. That's great.
Yeah, because but I would hear, I might be channeling, I might be bringing through, let's say, their grandmother, right? And the grandmothers and all kinds of people who are within our family do and will lovingly take care of our pets. So, the pets can be within the family circle. And if there's no one there that you know of, then your higher self could be taking care of that pet, which never leaves the spirit world. And also, you have guides, you have family other lives, you have friends, you have soul groups. So imagine you have lots of hands there to help. And so, first of all, the animal is made brand new because there's no pain in spirit. They have a spirit body, okay? So they're not in any pain. They don't feel unhappy. They're with people who love them. And in this particular case, I could cite a lot of different cases, but in this particular case, I heard a bark as I was channeling the grandmother for this client, and I thought, oh, you have a dog? You have a dog in spirit? Oh yeah, we just put our dog to sleep a couple weeks ago. And I was like, oh, now the dog will let me know if it's a male or female. The dog will show me an image of itself. Okay, so sometimes I get it right, and it's not always easy, and sometimes a dog doesn't know how to do it. It has to be shown how to do it. Like when people first go over the other side, they have to learn how to send those messages to the medium. You know this, Nina, and Ted, you know this,
Mm-hmm.
to give the client or the person the message, right? To give for the medium to give the message, and it's all technique, and it's all things to learn. So the dog will give me the message, and I will give it to my client. And the tears, how did you know that his right paw was broken? That's what the dog gave me to tell that person that it's definitely their dog. You
Oh,
understand? So the dog gives
amazing.
evidence. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had rabbits, snakes, horses. I had one time I was channeling, I was talking again, probably someone's father or whoever in the spirit world, and all of a sudden the room felt like there was a horse in it. And how do you get that feeling? But of course, we are clairsentient, so we pick up feelings. And the feelings are part of the message. right? So giving the
Right.
message, I had this big brown horse in my living room. You know, I just could feel him. And so I said to my client, you know, I don't know them. A lot of 90%, unless the people who come back for more and more readings, you know, which is fine too. But and I have plenty of those. But my new clients, I don't know them, never met them, don't know their history. We know nothing. I know nothing about them other than their name, right? And so the client, I just said, did you ever go horseback riding? Did you? Oh yes, I used to have a horse. Well, he's right here. He wants to give you a message. It's wonderful. So, you know, the message from the horse is the same as the dog, is the same as the cat. It's giving a mental picture in my head, picking up, you know, their feelings. And they feel, you know, if you pet a horse, it nudges you, right? If you pet a cat, it raises its head to get the pet. You know, the same with dogs. And all animals love us. They see us as their family. And they don't forget us when they pass. It's a wonderful thing.
Cool. Ted, did you have something to say? Would you like to
Oh,
make a
I've got a
comment?
bunch to
Welcome
say.
back.
Thank you. Yeah. I had a little bit of multitasking and heard a few things earlier, just as I was about to come back in again. But just touching on what you're talking about now, just out of curiosity, Shawn, what's your view of the afterlife, in the sense that as mediums and as psychics and as readers, we connect with spirit. We say, don't we, to our clients and our friends and associates, whatever, when we're doing readings. So, to the amateur or the person who doesn't necessarily get it, what from your perspective happens at the point, for example, of transition, the passing? I don't use the word death, but what do you think happens at the point of transition, and then that time scale that inevitably happens before they're assimilated to come back and give us message? What's your take on what happens, what it's like, and the method of communication by which our loved ones do come back in time?
Thank you, Ted. That's a great question, actually. I think that's the million-dollar question we all really want to know, isn't it? And anyone who lives on this earth wants to know what happens after we die. And you know, half the world, like, you know, India and China, you know, they believe in reincarnation. It's only the Western world that hasn't woken up to it. So slowly but surely, it's coming in and coming in, and people are having lots of death experiences and coming back from those experiences, you know, which is wonderful. You know, Daniel Brinkley, he died 2 times by being struck by lightning, and where he went and what he did. And they made a movie out of his life called Saved by the Light, which is the name of his book. And Eric, what's her name? The girl who played Julia Roberts' brother, Eric Roberts, starred as him in this movie. And that's a wonderful, if you want to read a great book on the reincarnation and what happens after life, after you die, that's a good one. But I'll give you what I know. And I've been told this by people who I know who have died, and they've told me this in messages to me, okay? I also visit the astral plane, as so do you and Nina and Aura and all of us. First of all, let's start at the beginning. We plan a life. We plan a life. Nobody comes here because it's a picnic or a holiday. We come here because we choose to be here. And a life can take 100 years to plan, 100 Earth years. So it's very unlikely that people reincarnate. You know, they might die and then come back as the baby of their child, you know, or come back in the same family straight away, or even come back straight away. We do have some cases of this in India, and like little boys who remembered their past lives, and they're 5 years old and they're discussing it. We do have lots of interesting cases of these things. But in the main, you wouldn't want to come back straight away. You wouldn't. You need some time off. You need to plan different experiences. And that's not just your life. That's all the lives you're involved with. So who will be your parents this time? Who will be your siblings this time? Maybe you'll be an only child this time. Maybe your parents this time will die young. Maybe you will have step parents. Maybe you'll be in an orphanage. Maybe you won't have any parents. There are so many options that that's the whole point of being alive, is to understand and experience all the different options. So that's number one. Number two, you plan a life, you come into the life, right? You live the life, which is very much predestined. People think we have free will. We have free will, but free will is what we wrote for ourselves before we ever got here. And we can still change our minds, of course. Maybe we chose, let's say that, and lifetimes are cumulative. So if you wanted to be a carpenter, maybe you were a carpenter 5 lifetimes ago. So what would be the point of being one again unless you wanted to go on to being an architect? Maybe you wanted to go on being a city planner. It's something about, going higher, better, more, deeper. Every life offers this, and every life is why we come back. And that's true of experiences with people, relationships, partners, business partners, lovers, children, siblings, aunts and uncles, whoever is within um, our group. And we will have groups of people we learn with. We are getting feedback. I hope that's not from my mic. I don't know why we're getting that, but anyway, so what happens when we die? First of all, you feel absolutely no pain. At the moment, you can feel a lot of pain, up to. But the moment you die, you have no pain. It's gone. It's like waking up on the other side. People think heaven is up in the clouds. That's not true. Heaven is a dimension, and it's the dimension next to ours. So they say that heaven is like, 20 feet off the ground. It's not up in the sky, even though we think it's up in the sky, right? Of course there's no hell. Hell is made up by the Catholic Church. Never existed, never will exist. Sorry, even they admitted it was a lie. Okay? What a frightening thing to force people to behave themselves. But religion has a lot to answer for. And once you start investigating and doing the research, you realize, just how abusive most of it is. Not all of it, but, it's controlling. It's controlling. Souls choose their religions before they get here, because why would you choose to be in a Muslim family if that's not your thing? You go there because that's what you want to learn in that lifetime. So religion gives us a learning. That's why it's not wiped out on the earth, okay? It gives us a point of reference. It gives us a path. And then eventually we've been all things. We've been everything on this planet. Most of us have been. I mean, new souls maybe not, but us old souls. You don't just come in with knowledge. You don't just come in a life with knowledge. You gain that knowledge over thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of lifetimes. So, you wouldn't give a baby the keys to the car and expect it to drive. I always use this analogy because it works. In the same way, you don't give a hard life to a young soul because it just won't be able to handle it. So if you have a hard life, you're a more advanced soul. If your life has been up and down and filled with difficulties, you may be a drama queen, or king, maybe you're attracted to that. And that's a different story. But if you've had super challenges and tried to overcome them and are working on developing yourself and being better, this could be true of people who are handicapped. This could be true. Look at Stevie Wonder. I mean, here's a human being who was blind, and look at what he did with his life. These are advanced souls. You understand? I could name quite a few advanced souls. It's easy to spot them because you see that they're not sitting around with their thumb in their mouth, crying and complaining about their lives. They're actually doing fabulous things with their lives, no matter what their difficulties. So when we die, we go into the white light, hopefully, right? And that tunnel is very quick. Some people think, oh, it's miles. No, it's all seconds. We can go to, and when we get to sort of that light, where that energy of heaven is, right? The astral plane, we are met by those who love us. There's no question about it. And you may even see that person the minute you die. I have known many, many people, they've died, and from the hospital bed, they could see who was waiting for them. Their husbands, their grandparents, their wife, even children who they've lost before, so, and animals too. And so this is the great reunion. We call this the great reunion. There is no better reunion ever. Because when you see someone you haven't seen in 50 years or didn't think you'd ever see again, it is truly overwhelmingly beautiful. And of course, you're welcomed with open arms. And then you have a big laugh. And then you start to remember, oh yeah, I've done this 1,000,000 times. I've done this 100 times. I did this, 100 years ago. Look, here's the people from my past life. Here's my soul group. So we go back to our soul groups. And eventually, once we get our grounding, and we do, of course, have a life review. And that life review can be the minute you die, and it could also be in more detail, something you could work through with your guide. And we all have guides and masters who help us, help for the soul's progress. Having a big house is nice, and having a nice car is great, but it ain't going to get you anywhere in heaven. That's not the achievement that you're supposed to do here. It's nice. Wearing nice clothes is nice, but the brownie points really come from who you are, how you behave in any given situation, and the choices you make, whether they're in love or fear. And if they're in fear, you'll see that, and you'll feel like, wow, I could have chose love there. Kindness is highly appreciated in the spirit world. So is laughter. Oh my God, do they love to laugh. And does anyone meet Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Mohammed? We're all gifted souls. I don't believe in one soul is better than the other. I never did. I never could buy that. I believe that every soul is divine, and every single soul is here to become what they call Christ consciousness, but what we really know as enlightened. Enlightened. So, that's what I understand. I hate to tell people there's no Muslim heaven, there's no Jewish heaven, there's no Catholic or Christian heaven or Protestant heaven, there's no Hindu heaven, there's no Buddhist heaven. We're all one, baby. And we all get along in that spirit world. And all those things fall behind here. They don't exist there.
Okay, thank you. Great answer and covered the question, and thank you. Here's the little curveball that I'm just going to throw at you, and you'll bounce it back at me. Those that did you wrong, those who have not been so good on this earth plane, the ones, the murderers, the rapists, the not so good negatives, the criminals and whatever, and they've passed to spirit and they've gone to this wonderful heavenly realm. Have they?
Of course, because we've all
everyone goes there.
We've
so
all
are you? You say you're greeted by your loved ones. Are you greeted by the negatives? What happens to the soul?
If you read Michael Newton's work, which is Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls, and he pioneered life between life regression work, and his work is 40 years of research. I mean, he's already a doctor of psychology. Brian Weiss, Dr. Weiss, is a Harvard graduate, MD, and he pioneered past life regression. So we have some brilliant brains here working in our fields. And I've, of course, read all their books, and I work in past life regression. And I can tell you that those who were our enemies in the past become our lovers in the future. Those who killed us in the past become our friends in the future. We do not stay stuck in that misery. That is only a play that went on in this earth plane. You know, because if you stay stuck in that, what's the point? There's no point. There are really dumbed down, look, we're lied to from the minute we get born. From the minute we get born, we're lied to. People on earth are brainwashed like you wouldn't believe. The truth is so evasive. They took reincarnation out of the Bible. What else did they take out? You know what I'm saying? So if you want to believe everything you read in the Bible, and you want to believe every single thing that's been told to you, you know, you're going to get 14 virgins who are going to sacrifice themselves for you because you killed someone in Allah's name. Hello? I feel sorry for the virgins. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, it's nonsense. It's just brainwashing nonsense. And if you see how much brainwashing has gone on, George Harrison, God bless him, very spiritual man, very enlightened man. What did he name his last album? How's this for a final message? Brainwashed. Right? And he did. That was no mistake. He never made a mistake, this guy. He always knew. He was very wise, you know. And this is what happens when you tune into spirit and you meditate and you put your energies towards, you get enlightened, you know. And so all those bad people in the past, when you see your own Akashic records, believe me, you will know exactly. We've all murdered, we've all raped, we've all pillaged, we've all lied, we've all killed, we've all... This is how the human experience is. And there's, you know, there are certain souls. I believe some souls are possessed to commit terrible, heinous crimes. And I'm not going into that tonight, but that is another experience. Because we ain't the only ones in the universe, you know. Come on. We are not the only ones in the astral plane. And there are many astral planes and many levels to those astral planes. So it would be ridiculous for me to say that, you know, we're the only ones exist and we go around. You know, it's like, I mean, there are many, many levels and many, many different types of experiences. You can have a life as an alien. You can have a life on Venus. I remember Edgar Cayce in one of his books, very profound Edgar Cayce, always right. He channeled, you know, he was the sleeping prophet. And he had, he told in one of his books, I can't remember, There Is a River, maybe, that one, where he said, I was a gaseous form on Venus, and that was a life of mine. Interesting. Right? Interesting. Maybe, you know, maybe we've all been that at one point. So, you know, you can't say that. You know, I do have a problem with ignorance. I'm sure that ignorance is my big bugaboo in this lifetime. I'm a natural teacher, and I can't stand ignorance. I don't care if you're curious or you just don't know. But when you're ignorant and think you know everything, and you're the only one that knows it, and everything you say is the right thing, and your religion is the only religion, and, you know... That for me is like, that's like a bull, a red flag to a bull, because I can't stand that.
Okay, thank you for that. I've got a million and other questions, although I'm being prompted that we're quite keen to do some readings, apparently, which is presumably arranged. So what I'll do, if I may, and thank you, Shawn, and we could talk forever about this, I'll hand back to Nina to pick up some stuff from the chat room and perhaps lead into some readings now.
Okay. Nina, can I see the chat room here or not?
Yes. Like what you do is on the left-hand side of your screen, the white box with the red lightning flash that says Webinar Jam Studio.
Yeah.
Click on that, and then at the top of that page it'll say chat.
Um,
On the top right of the webinar jam, it should come up on the right side of the page.
Chat. 13. There's 13
Okay.
people in the. Oh, good. Hello. Hi, chat
Okay.
room. Let me just
Right.
say hi.
Right. So, right. Well, first of all, your friend Joanne from Pennsylvania doing readings. She used to do readings at her former shop, The Healing Grounds.
Yes,
It's
in Florida.
here on the website and says hello. And
hi, Joanne.
she's she would like to have a reading, a message from her father if he's around.
Okay, let me just.
So would you like to tune in? We've also got some other comments from other guests, but we'll get to them in a little bit. So why don't you start with Joanne?
Let me just say while I'm shuffling and tuning in that Joanne is the most gorgeous woman. I was so blessed to meet her in Anna Maria Island, Florida. I was, when my daughter was little, I spent time with my mother in Florida, and I went to work in her shop. And she just happened to be the manager, and we've been friends ever since, and my daughter's now almost 19. So that tells you I know Joanne, and I know that her dad passed this year. And let's see if he can come through for us. Okay, I'm just using the cards to focus. I'll just be tuning in now. Right. Okay, Joanne, I've got your dad here. Okay, he's giving me Joe, which I think is his name, and he's saying that he's showing me his right hip. Okay, and he's showing me that he can stand up very well now. I think he had some real issues with his hip, his right hip particularly. He's given me the lower back as well. He's concerned about you because you've been going through a lot of pain with your own body. He's handing me some beautiful flowers to give to you. And he's also talking about, right, steel. I happen to know she had some steel things put in her back and her neck, and he's talking about this. You must take care of yourself and watch yourself right now. Your father's with you. He's in your living room at home. He sits right by you where you sit in your living room at home. He loves your house, your new house. He looks around and he sees all the trees there. He thinks it's beautiful. You're going to be okay. He's saying that he and your mother made it up. They made up. They're not fighting anymore. He's talking about a cherry tree. I don't know where this cherry tree was in your history, in your past, but he's talking about a cherry tree, and he's showing me a cherry tree. So maybe you could let us know what that means. And he's giving me a big kiss for my beautiful girl and your brother. He's doing this to me, fingers crossed. This is for your wish. You've made a wish. You've asked him to help you with something, and he's giving me fingers crossed. He's going to do it. He's going to see what he can do. Keep the faith, he's saying. Keep trying. Keep not trying. Keep believing. That's what he said. Keep believing. All right, sweetheart, I hope that helps you. Your dad is with you every day. Just talk to him. He hears you. And he loves you very much. That's from him.
So Joanne says, awesome. She's sitting in her living room, and Joanne says, cherry tree in the backyard to give you validation. That's lovely.
See, isn't that great? Don't you? I mean, I love that. Even though I hear it myself, I just love that they just speak so.
That's great. That's great. So, people, now, Era has kindly asked if you would mind tuning in to her loved ones and see if somebody wants to come through particularly.
Okay, Just
if you
hold on.
wouldn't mind, so she can
Not
be
at all.
entertained in
Not
the
at all.
background. There she is, the
I
silent
see it.
one,
The
visible.
silent. Okay, why do I keep picking up your... Does she have a daughter? Who's the...
Yes.
All right, yeah, I get your daughter. Somebody's talking to me a lot about your daughter. So I don't know if it's your mom or grandmother, but I feel like I'm with a woman. Okay? Somebody's talking about her beautiful daughter. Okay? Oh, I got you and your daughter. Both. Okay? This person claims you and your daughter. I feel this is your mother or your grandmother. Okay? This is very strong feminine, female energy. I'm getting a lot of love. Oh, being overwhelmed by love. And so wonderful to speak to you. I've done this before, she tells me. So I think you've spoken to her before. All right? She's giving me, I've done this before. I want her to know I'm listening. I'm listening. She's asking you to tell her, bare your heart to her. Say what you need to say to her. Open the, just speak to her. You know this anyway. I know you do. But just let it out. She's saying don't hold back. Just tell me everything, right? And she wants to guide you and help you. She also says that your work, you're having a little bit of a tough time with your work right now. And she wants you to know that will get better in June. June is a better month for you altogether. Okay? Feel like, okay, your volume doesn't work tonight, but it's a little bit like cat got your tongue. She's just given me that. Cat got your tongue. Somehow you can't tell. I don't know why. Maybe it's private. But she feels like, just tell me, just confess it all to me, right? Just open the door of emotion. I don't want you to hold back. I feel like maybe she's welling up inside, maybe she's holding back, but she's not having a cry. Maybe have a good cry. That's what this woman is saying. She just wants you to feel happy and better. She feels that you've been through a lot in the last couple months. And she loves your daughter. She's just the twinkle toes, she's calling her. Twinkle toes. I feel like your daughter is dancing. She's showing me twinkle toes, the dancer, right? Maybe she loves to dance. I don't know, but that's her nickname, twinkle toes. Okay, she's telling me I don't know why she's telling me this, but spirit do say the oddest things, Who had a bologna sandwich or who had a sandwich recently? Was it your daughter? I feel like I ate a sandwich recently, and she was there. She observed this. You had a sandwich. Okay. When the last time you had a sandwich, which could be today, I don't know, or yesterday, she was actually with you and observed this. Okay? So she's around you, right? She laughs. You know what? I feel this woman has a wonderful sense of humor, and she's just full of love and laughter, and I feel like you're the light of her life. Does this make sense to you? Yes. Yes. Is there anything you want to ask her? She's asking me. No. She's showing me, I feel like, do you have a dream to go to Hawaii? Type it out and Nina will tell me. Or you can put it in the chat room. I feel like...
So she's never been to Hawaii.
Okay, do you have a dream to
but
go to
always
Hawaii?
wanted to go. She always wanted to go. Yes.
This woman's saying you're going. It's going to happen.
Ooh.
All right? So, she just gave me, you know how I got Hawaii? You want to hear this is how they work. She gave me pineapple in my head. Thinking pineapple. Where do pineapples grow? Hawaii, that's it. Okay. So you're going to Hawaii. It's going to happen. Okay, I don't know how. She says keep the faith. Just keep putting that energy out there. What we think, we bring in, we attract, you know. She says, oh, you're going to get an opportunity to work there. Now she's showing me the way. So, you know, you could teach a class there. You could do a workshop there. There will be a way that you can earn enough money and also enjoy a vacation, right? So start looking for opportunities there. This is the beautiful thing about the internet. And particularly, you know, all over the world. So she loves you very much. She's given me a big red heart for you, okay?
Oh,
And red roses too I'm getting, which of course mean love.
that's amazing. So Era has, first of all, she looks very happy. She's got a big smile on her face, but she's given you some feedback. She says that she's got two moms in spirit, so her mom and her stepmom.
All right.
Um, and she also says that her daughter used to walk on her toes, so that's Miss Twinkle Toes. And about the sandwich, she said it was because it was a peanut butter and banana sandwich, which her mother used to make them when she was a kid.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Okay. All
So
right.
that's great feedback, very accurate, and she says that's incredible. Thank you so much, Shawn.
You're welcome, my darling. Mwah, that's for me. You're
Now
welcome.
you're getting very popular. So we've got
Good.
Sandra. Sandra, hi Sandra. Sandra says she would like to hear from her grandfather if he, oh no, her father, excuse me. She would like to know if her father's around her.
Is this
Sandra.
this could be Sandra who's living in North Carolina right now, who
Don't
just lost her
know.
father. I think I know who this is. If not, that's okay. But if I do know, then let me just see. Thing about, let me just say a couple things. Nobody can make anyone come from spirit. So just so you know, I have no power to bring these people to me. The power and the link is with the person who's asking. So in Aura's case, these are people she loves, her mother, her stepmother. You know, in Joanne's case, her father. And even though people just passed, they could still come through if the link
Hmm.
is strong enough and they're willing, you know, because sometimes they're busy. It does happen. So for Sandra, Dad was a vet.
I
Dad
don't
was a
think
veteran. She on?
she's on, but I don't think it's the one from South
Okay.
Carolina. I think this is
Okay.
an English Sandra.
Okay. Was Dad in the war?
Okay, Sandra, if you could answer, that would be really good. Sean needs some feedback, please.
Was
Sandra
Dad?
says she's from UK in the Kent.
Yeah, but was he ever in the military of any kind? Because I got a soldier here. Like when your father was younger, I think he was in the military of some kind. I'm getting a soldier. Or he could be in
So
the Navy, I don't know, but some kind of military.
she's not, I don't have an answer yet. I'll let you know when
All
she
right, I'll
does.
just say what I get, okay? So I get a
Yeah.
man he's showing me himself in uniform because what people don't understand is we revert back. We can look any age we want after we die. We can look like our teen self, our 20s. A lot of people go roughly about their 30th year and they look like that. Now, in the case of the woman before, Aura's mother, I did see someone with white hair, so I knew there was someone older. And sometimes we'll show ourselves as older, so oh, it's a grandmother, or oh, it's a stepmother, or I mean, an older person. In this case, your father's showing me himself young. He's showing me himself in a looks like an army kind of outfit or some kind of military. He's showing me he served in the military. He's also showing me that he divorced from your mother because I feel like there was a link broken from the parents, like the father was divorced or something happened when the father left or something, the situation wasn't, they didn't stay together. He's also talking to me about a brother. I think you have a brother. He's also talking to me about the seaside and the beach and how there are a lot of fond memories walking along, whether it's Kent, I don't know, but walking along in the beach, by the beach, with his family. And he was a very smart guy, and he's showing me Very witty, funny. He could crack a few jokes when he wanted to. He was very, I would say, charming. I get charm from him. But when he was serious as hell. He was dead serious, and you could not, if he was angry, you didn't want to cross him. You didn't want to say, "Oh, relax." He might get mad at you for that. So, he had his ways. It was very, his certain ways. I think he was quite disciplined in a funny way. Still get army discipline vibe from him. I love my
Okay,
food.
so
Okay.
he did national service, which is like,
Well, that's army, yeah.
yeah, army, but not in the war.
Right. Okay. Well, he's showing me
This was
himself.
after the war.
Okay,
Okay.
he's showing me himself dressed in his uniform. So we know that he wore a uniform. Okay. And does she have a brother? Because he's mentioning her brother.
Okay,
Anyway.
no divorce, married 45 years, seaside, and smart, witty, and charming.
Okay,
So,
so what was the
so that
break from
was
okay, so the break from the mother. What did they have a break at some point? Because I feel like the relationship, something broke for a while, whether he was away or whether maybe he was away doing national service. I don't know, but there's a sense of we were together and then we weren't for some reason, and maybe even within that marriage they were spent some time apart. I don't know, but there's a sense of the relationship breaking a little bit. Maybe it was difficult and they came back together. He gave me that, like a break. Also, if her mother's still alive, he could be referring to that, or
right.
not maybe.
Sandra said she does have one brother.
Yes. Okay, it's your dad. I got your dad, man. I definitely got your dad here, and he's giving me his information as best as he can right now. He loves you and your brother deeply. Your father was he's showing me his shoes. Something about his shoes. He was very particular about his shoes, or he used to like to clean them and buff them, or he something about shoes. So, just his little quirks that he liked. Um, he was a hardworking man and very serious about money and very serious about work. And I feel like he liked to go to, believe it or not, he liked to go to either shows or the movies or rock concerts maybe, or some kind of concerts, because I see him sitting in a theater. So maybe this was something that he and your mother did together, or he enjoyed doing. Okay? He says, put some pictures up of me and you by the seaside, because that's the thing that I think we all had the best time then. That was my happy time. Really remember being well and having fun and being with my family who I love.
So Sandra says, "Oh my God, the shoe polish." And both parents have passed. So, but she's very amazed with the shoe polish.
He showed me himself buffing his shoes. I don't know how,
Right.
or whatever, polishing them. Um, so what is he talking about? The break with the mother? I don't know what that is.
Oh,
I'm
Sandra
gonna.
says he used to sing at a local club.
The theater. Okay,
Right.
okay. He loved that. There was like a little performer in him. You know what I mean? He enjoyed that. He enjoyed a little bit of the spotlight. And did your dad ever write poetry? Did he ever try to write poetry? Because he's given me a poem in my head. I don't know. I can't see it what it is, but I see it's a poem. So there's something about poetry here, and a poem was said maybe at his funeral too, that he wants to refer to. That was very wonderful. Um, they do go to their funeral. People who've passed are allowed very much so to attend their own funeral, and they often want to hear what people have to say about them, and they want to see who turns up. Why not? Why not? They spent their whole life with these people, so they're certainly allowed to visit any time, even immediately after death. And of course, they also can visit when you have memorial services for them, or you light a candle for them, or you think about them on their birthday, or Christmas, or Hanukkah, or any time in between. If you think about them, that thought can bring them to you. Just because they're in their spirit worlds thinking, oh, so and so's thinking about me. They get it because it's all telepathy. You can communicate with your voice, but you can also, in the spirit world, it's all telepathy. So I think your father said everything. I'm waiting for him to say something. No, that's it. He said, I'm done.
That's lovely. So, so Sandra says that they were from a fishing family, and she wrote poems for both of them, but couldn't attend for some reason. So the poems have a relationship to Sandra. So thank you
Okay.
very much for that, Shawn. That's really beautiful. And Sandra hasn't replied yet, but I'm sure she's going to give you a big, big thank you for that.
Well, the poetry, it's interesting because if what was said at the funeral and she couldn't attend, it's interesting. Then that means he read the poetry that she wrote. He heard the poetry that she wrote, and so did her mother.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, because he's
Beautiful.
showing me the poetry was very important to say it. Okay, thank you, Nina. So who's next?
Right. So there's a lady from Piano, Texas, whose name is, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Araceli or Araceli, and
Oh, I know.
she'd love to have a message from her grandpa.
Okay, let's have a look. I know who this is, okay? A lot of people I know are calling in, some of my clients, right? But I definitely have her grandfather here, and is her grandfather short? He's not very tall. This is a man who's shorter. I wouldn't say he's not too short, but he's shorter, and he's very hardworking man. I mean, his hands. He shows me his hands. Very hardworking man. He spends a lot of time with his granddaughter. She may not know this. She may know this. He he's showing me his heart, so I don't know if he passed from a heart attack or something, complications of the heart or chest, but this is how he's given it to me. He's also telling me that there's a lot of worry and concern. I hope to God you weren't in those terrible floods in Texas, but he's given me a lot of hope and also concern about you and about your family. So maybe this is your worry. He says, very important to stand up for yourself. Keep standing up for you. Keep asking for what you want and keep standing up for yourself. Very important. He said this 3 times. So if somebody's giving you some problems or they're, they're kind of not bullying you, but sort of trying to influence you to do something that you're not really happy to do, he says this could be work related. Okay, work related. Then it's time to stand up, take a stand. Don't settle for that. I also feel like somebody's having a birthday in July. Excuse me, I've got July here very strong for a birthday, a celebration. I'm hearing the word fiesta. That's from your grandfather. And your grandfather says, we're going to have a big fiesta this year. So, okay, let's have one. Let's have a big one in July. Your grandmother loves you very much. I'm getting a lot of love sent from both grandparents. And also, please tell your daughter that things will. She's a little. I don't know. She's just a little upset. She didn't quite get something she wanted. I don't know what it is, but it will all be okay. And, she will get eventually what she wants, but the timing's not right now. Possibly we're looking more in September. And your husband and you are okay. You're going strong. I don't know why. Do you want to move? I'm getting something about expanding, changing something, moving to a bigger house or bigger premises. I feel like you'll do that in 2015, which is where we're at now, before possibly going into 2016. Your grandfather, he's not saying a lot. He says he used to. Here's another man who used to like to fish. He used to like to. He loved to cook, or he loved food, because I'm smelling wonderful food. Oh my God! When you're in the kitchen cooking, your grandfather's around you, and I feel like he wants to say, "Put that spice in. Put that spice in." So even if he wasn't the main cook in his house, he was the cook. He was the chef behind the cook. He was the one in charge. He loved food. He's saying, "I love food. I loved it. I loved cook. I loved eating it. I miss my spicy food," he said. Right. I think he's just sending lots of love to you and your family and the children. And I feel like September, October, November, very good months for you, for your whole family. Big changes coming in 2016 too. Good ones. And he's saying, who hurt their finger? One of the kids hurt their finger. He's like, I've got a boo-boo on my finger. He's just showing me that. So one of the kids have a little sore, banged their finger, I don't know. But he says he wants to kiss it, make it better. He's very sweet.
Right. So, thank you very much. So let me give you some feedback from Araceli. She said that she did not meet him, but he is short, he was short, and he used to say that he said to her that she should ask, but he didn't give a question. June, not July. She's Fiesta, yes, she's Mexican.
Right.
And is my husband like fishing? I don't know what that had to do with anything particular. Like that. She said, thank you very much. And Sandra also said, thank you. She said, daughter, my daughter.
Aww.
So, lovely. Go ahead.
Well, I know, I have read Araceli before as a client of mine, so I do know some things, but I don't think I brought her grandfather through before. So, he was short. I definitely picked that up. He's big on the fiesta. I'm sure that she may or may not know this if she never met him, but he loved fishing. There's definitely something about fishing here. Maybe in where he was from in Mexico, he used to go fishing. I don't know. There's a sense of loving food, loving the things that I mentioned, and the child with the boo-boo. I know she's still got young children, so there's a boo-boo on a finger somewhere. That's it. Yeah, they're coming
Cool.
quick. Spirit is in cooperation with all of us, so they're definitely coming, and they're doing it short to let lots of people get through. So
That's
anyone
lovely.
else?
Yeah, actually Ted said he'd really like a reading.
Okay, Ted.
Well, I thought it was a time for a guy to ask and step up. So, yeah, that'd be a delight if you don't mind. This will be interesting because I'm quite cold to you as far as knowing me.
Yeah, I don't know you. That's right.
But you kind of do know me, if you know what I mean. That's what's so spooky about this sort of thing.
You might have to explain that to people. I know what you mean, but they may think, what? What did you say?
Yeah, I should say, yeah, we've never met in person, but psychics and mediums kind of know each other's consciousness and energy, and on a sort of soul level, which is kind of spooky and yet wonderful at the same time. But most of the listeners and viewers will be of the spiritual nature, so they'll hopefully get it. But for those of you who don't, yeah, there is a connectivity through the ether and through the energy that is just, simple as that.
I know. Okay, thanks, Ted. That's probably helped some people out there to understand that. Okay, my darling, listen, I got a bevy of people here. It's like they're all standing behind you in a semicircle. Okay. I've got a man who's for me, this is someone who's like a spirit guide to you. Very white hair, okay? I feel long hair, and I feel very, you know, very mystical, very spiritual, high spiritual guide, all right? I also feel two women. And at the end, it's like a man, that man I described, two women, and I feel one is like a maternal figure, whether mother, grandmother, I'm not sure. The other is like a friend who's passed, who's female. And then I've got a man at the end who possibly is your father. This is an older gentleman, okay? So you've got quite a bevy here. Anyone in particular you want to speak to first? Because they're all willing and waiting. You know, they're all waiting.
Yeah, it'll be emotional, but yeah, go for the maternal.
Okay,
Please.
so that's your mother, right?
Yeah.
Oh, she's emotional too. She's just showing me her eyes crying, like tears welling up in her eyes. And she says, "How's my boy?" See, you're always going to be her boy, aren't you? How's my son? We talk a lot. So he talks to me and I talk back to him. So she's telling me this isn't the first time she's come through, won't be the last. She loves you, she wants to give you a big cuddle. I want to give him a big hug. And did you like dragons when you were little? Did you like little either dinosaurs or those kind of toys that you know, they look like T-Rex and they look like dragons and all this kind of stuff?
I can't say it was a sort of priority, but yes, I kind of, yeah, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Brontosaurus, and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I would have been kind of into them. It's kind of a few years ago now, isn't it? Of course, you know.
I know, but your mother didn't forget. Your
Yeah,
mother
yeah.
is your mother, and she probably bought you those toys.
And what I've got to say as well, which was interesting, right at the very start there, this is so spooky. I when I work sometimes I get what I call angel tears come down my face, and I'm not actually personally emotional, but when I'm working in healing, whatever, they just send these incredible flood of tears. You said that she's emotional, and as you said, her tears, or she has emotion and tears. I felt that in that instant that you said that. So that's yeah. I know
I
it
get.
happens. That's awesome, just as confirmation for folk.
Thank you. I get that too. I get that as well, and sometimes it's embarrassing. I just start crying. I can't help myself. It's not
Yes,
me.
and
It's not really
it's not
me.
actually
It's
you.
through me.
No,
It's through me.
exactly.
Your mother is a very beautiful woman. She's a very graceful woman. She had a good life. Your mother, she says it was hard, of course, some of it, but she's saying that all in all, it was a good life. So she's no complaints. Your mother has a very peaceful feeling about her. She's calling, I don't know if she ever called you Teddy, but she's given me this affection for you, like nickname. I don't know if I can say it. I feel like I know your name is Ted. But, oh, did she call you Theodore? It's either
No.
Teddy or Theodore. I don't know. There's a nickname here somewhere. Okay, or another name she used to call you by.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
give
there is
me one.
another name. Yeah, there is
Okay.
another name.
Okay, I can't get it. It's for some reason I can't get it, but um, only mothers can do this. She's giving me you when you were, I don't know, maybe a teenager. And there was something about either didn't like to sleep in the dark, or I'm getting it wrong and it's the opposite, totally pitch black in the room. Have to shut the doors, shut the drapes, nobody can come in. I'm going to sleep now. That's it. So I don't know if you
Yes,
relate to that. Is that it?
yes,
Pitch
I
black?
can relate to the lack of fear, but wanting the darkness. Yes, quite happy in the darkness.
And so your mother's saying quite unusual for children who normally, you know, they're scared of the dark. They want the light
Hmm.
on or leave the hall light on or don't shut the door. And there's you, and she's almost like the covers over your head, you know, like as
Hmm.
pitch black as you can
Yeah.
get it. And actually, you sleep better that way. That's good. See, you
Hmm.
knew that. They've
Yeah.
only just discovered that. The darker the room, the better you sleep. And
Hmm.
Your mother says that you were always displaying signs of being who you would be today. That you also were very, very young, very youngly displaying psychic awareness, spiritual awareness. You came in with your gifts too. And your
Mm.
mother was sort of, she says at first it was like, what? What's happening here? She wasn't quite sure. But as you progressed and as she could see where you were going, she felt very proud of you. Okay? And so you had her blessing, right? And I don't know if your father was on board. I'm not sure. She's given me like he might have been a different story. But your mother always believed in you. Always. She still does. She still believes in you very strongly. She's still right behind you, literally, because that's where I found her, standing
Uh-huh.
behind you.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
And who's Lynn? Lynn. Can you place that name?
Not on the not hasn't passed, but they're.
In
I
the
know a
past.
Lynn. Yes. No,
Okay.
it
Your
has
mother's.
not passed. They are still on the Earth plane.
Yes, I know, but your mother's mentioning this name for some reason, and
Okay. Yeah, would make sense. Yeah.
okay, so you know what the message. She's saying just take the name. You know what the message is.
Okay.
Maybe it's personal. She doesn't want to say it on air. You know what I mean? But
Okay.
it's for you and somehow to connect with that name. Whatever story
Okay.
is in that name, she's mentioning. Also, she says that you were quite unusual as a child. Like, the other kids would want to do one thing, you'd want to do something else. So let's say the other kids were out playing football, you were in your room trying to figure out, how does quantum physics work or something. There's
Yeah.
like
Kind of.
there's
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
You always had that, viva la différence, so to speak.
mm,
And your mother is always, she's given me this as one of your great jewels, one of your gifts is to be this difference, and how magnificent it is to be the mother of someone who was, in fact, quite different than his peers, than his, kids around him. And
yeah.
she knew that that was a gift to her as well, a gift to her as well. You understand? My
Yes.
child, look, has these gifts. There's how this, I brought this child into the world. Of
Mm,
course, every mother owns their children. You take responsibility for them. They are from you, but they're from spirit, of course. But your mother feels this sense of pride she's giving me about you, okay, and how your relationship with her was tough at times, okay? She's not making it all airy fairy. That's my word, not her. She wouldn't use that word. But she's making it more like, that we had our tough times, but he knew and still knows how deeply I love him and always will. And she guides you, I know you know this, right? She guides you too. She helps you too, as best as she can from there. Um, Are you sort of, I mean, I can understand this because your mind is so many other places, but do you like forget, oh, gee, I have to pay that bill, I forgot, or I have to do this, I forgot. Just in the madness of life, it's almost like your mother sends you a reminder on
Yep.
very practical things, not on, very practical things, okay?
Hmm.
Oh, don't forget to check the oil in your car or something. You know what I mean? It's just all these practicals. Your mother's still looking out for you, basically. Well, I think if that was me with my daughter, I'd do the same. I would do the same. So I understand it. Now, let me just hang in there for a second with your mom and move over to the spirit guide, who's a very, very wise soul. He says, "Put me last, put me last." That's how wise he is, but I'm sorry, my own energy is saying I must bring his message. In case we run out of time or whatever, I must bring his message to you. His message is humanity is changing tremendously in these next 3 years. These next 3 years will be deciding points for many ways and means of how life will be on this planet. And 3 years is a it's given me 3 years. You will know a bit about where this humanity is headed. He opens doors on a much wider, bigger scale. Your mother talks about you. She loves you. This soul is a guiding soul that helps all souls. You understand? And he gives me his hand as if it's a healing hand. I feel he touches your head. You feel him touch your head, especially the back of your head? That's
Yep.
him, okay?
Oh, that's him. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. When he does that, that's him. That's to let you know, A, it's him, and B, he's sort of, he's helping your crown chakra. Okay, sometimes we all do it. It's, you know, we get mucked up with people. You go out to the store, you get 1,000 people's messages hitting you at once, you know, or whatever. Sometimes you need strong boundaries. You forget to put them up. You white lie. He helps that. He helps clear that energy, clear the muck, he's saying, off whatever, you know, sometimes you understand what he means.
Yes.
And he has a crystal around his neck, the most beautiful crystal I think I've ever seen in my life. It's actually brilliant white light. It's just shining light. So this he's an emissary of the light. That's what he just said to me. He says you know him very well. You work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And have you also had him come to you in your dreams? Because he's showing me your dreams.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's very powerful guides in the realm from which who channel through me, which is awesome.
He's definitely for you, and he's working with you. And he says when you complete your mission, you'll be able to evolve to a higher level the next time. So it's like he's almost like your teacher as well, and so he helps you in this life to raise your consciousness, be able to bring through as much information. He gives you a lot of information. I see him more as a teacher, to be honest. He gives me that guide, really the true you know, if we were to break down the word guide, it really is teacher, isn't it? It's helping you, guiding you where you need to go, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, but they can't do it for you. And he just feels to me like a very wise soul, an emissary of light is exactly the right. He's given me that title, and that's who he is. So,
okay.
And your the male on the right, is this your father? I feel like a father figure here. Okay.
Okay.
And your father's very tall, like you. In fact, there's a similarity to you. Okay. I don't know if you look a little bit like your dad, but I feel tall. Okay.
No, that's not my father. But I don't know who it is yet. No.
Is that a grandfather? Who's tall like you in the male? I've got a tall man here, definitely.
In the spirit, there is a tall man. Yeah.
Is that your grandfather?
No. I'm not being unhelpful. I'm just letting you do it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm just placing him for you because when I have male, like father, mother, you know, the energy is very similar to grandparents, and sometimes I get white hair. But at our age, even our parents are going to have white hair. You know what I mean? They're going to show as old people. So this is an older gentleman. He shows to me as your father. Okay. And if it's not your father, then it has to be a grandfather link. It could be a great uncle, but I'm guessing if it's a great uncle, and or an uncle, because I just feel someone who's similar to you. Okay.
No, actually, yes, maybe it is my grandfather, but he wasn't a particularly tall guy. But yeah, let's go with grandfather at the moment.
Okay. So he's giving me visage, like face similar to you. Okay.
That's exactly what came to mind as you were talking. Yeah, there was a similarity in old photographs as I got older, and yeah. So,
Okay.
albeit he's not tall, but he might be standing on a step ladder or something. I
I
don't know.
don't know. He feels tall to me. Maybe he's a tall man in spirit. Who
Yeah.
knows? But anyway, the sense is of love and concern in a loving way. I don't know if your grandfather had anything to do with land or a farm,
Yes,
because he's
rather.
giving me like almost it's almost like that picture with the overalls and the hay thing. He's showing me that land farm. Maybe he was a
Thank you.
farmer and he
Yeah,
owned land.
that's the
Um,
guy. Yeah, he was a dairy farmer.
okay,
He was a
okay,
dairy farmer. And
dairy
when you put
farm.
your hand up like that, I thought you were going to do the cow milking udder thing because it was
No,
just
no,
in
that
the
thing.
demonstrations.
Looks
Yeah,
like
no, but it was
Neptune.
just bang when you said that. Yeah, he
No,
was a dairy farmer back in the day. Yeah.
it's image that for me would mean farm. So they have to give it to me the
Yeah.
way I can read it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
farm. So it's definitely your grandfather. We know this
Mm,
now, and he's. I feel like hard work, but good solid work. He,
yeah.
he feels like he had a good life because it was hard work, but it
Yeah.
meant something to him. Having that work was important to him. Working with the cows, and this was his job. He didn't analyze. Pardon me. He didn't analyze it. He didn't think about it. He just did it, and that was his work, and it was fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of love for your family, for your mother. Okay.
Mm, mm.
And even though we just spoke, so these two are together there, right? And do you have? I feel a brother as well with you. Is there a brother?
No.
Would he have a cousin? Look, do you have a cousin, a male cousin, that would be like also his grandfather?
Oh, now you gave me thinking.
Well, if your parents have a sibling, like he's a grandfather to not just you. I feel like he's a grandfather to other children or other grown-up
Yes.
children.
Yes,
That's
he
what he's
was. Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Agree.
yeah, so sibling, it's not your sibling, then it's your cousin. Okay. Um, he just wants to clarify that he's come through today, that so that you know that he's with you. He um, he says you'll never run out of milk as long as I'm around.
That's spooky. Oh, that's spooky. Because,
Why?
with all that goes on at turns here at the Namaste and the evenings we have, I've said to myself, and I've said it out loud, that I will never be short of tea bags, coffee, and milk because I only have to ask, and at least one person will bring 4 pints, let alone 10 people. And I've actually said that I will never run out of. Oh, that's too spooky. And the
Well,
fact that it's
you
my
shouldn't
mother
be.
and grandfather. You
You
know what
sh-
I mean? Whatever, however long you're in this trade or this way of spiritual stuff, it still gets you because you're like, yeah, whoa. Well, at least that's how I react. I'm like a kid in a candy store about it
no,
all
I
the time.
just reacted before to someone that
Yeah,
when they said, "Oh yeah, my father was
it's
in the military," or whatever he was
everything's
in.
awesome. The miracles of the healings and the connectivity and the lack of coincidence, everything it's meant to be, and spirit and angelics and all of that. I will never ever cease to be wondrous about it, and things you struck on about my mother and her attitude towards me. Yes, all mothers love their sons and daughters as a rule, but to get my grandfather as a farmer type is kind of cool, and particularly dairy farmer. Yeah, yeah, it's just kind of cool. And then you'll never be short of milk, which was kind of a throwaway comment, and yet so whoa, yeah, just spot on there. It's like you see them, it is. It's
I
like
do see them. I do see them. I see
Oh,
them in my mind.
cool. And
And
my
sometimes I
grandfather and
see
mother
them
would be
right
together.
here.
They
Yes,
they would be together.
your grandfather and your mother are together.
And that's absolute because that connection with the two of them was a very, very strong bond. And he did return. Um, and found her quite randomly somewhere he didn't know she'd moved to once. It was a story she told, and I'll just share it briefly because I know there are others who'd like to come in. But she was living up in Saffron Walden, which is some way from where I live now, and he passed about 5 or 10 years before this. And she was sitting quietly in an apartment one afternoon, and she looked up, and he was at the window, and he'd passed. And he raised his hand as if to say, "Ah, found you." She often told me this story. She didn't tell an awful lot of people about it. And she stood up in that moment and went to the door and then said, "Oh, don't be so stupid. He's gone." But she saw him in that moment. She wasn't thinking about him. I think she was reading or something quietly on a summer afternoon. But she turned, and there he was at the window. And these things happen, that spirit do come back. And the classic one with my grandfather was that he came back to my grandmother something like 15 years after he passed. And my grandmother allegedly said to him, "You took your time." And he simply said, "Time? What's time?" Which to me was very profound, because it goes to prove that in spirit and in the dimension and the afterlife dimension, there is no time, the concept that we have down here. So there, 10 years down here, maybe 5 minutes up there for all we know. So yeah, so thanks, Shauna, that's awesome. I will let others get in on this, but I can tell everyone spot on all of that, and those who know me, and quite a few people kind of know recent things. Mum passed 6 months ago. I know she's behind me. I know she works with me, which is glorious, after what can be a very tragic event of somebody transiting. But it wasn't in this case, and despite one or two people saying, "Well, you should be grieving, you should be this, that, and the other." No, I'm at peace with it, and I will be, and I'm not, tucking it away anywhere. And what I would like is, if my story helps someone to go, actually, I can cope with a bereavement a little easier, because there's this guy who's saying, "Look, it isn't actually necessarily as bad as that, and you will see them again. You absolutely 100% will see them again, and they are just that little way off in another dimension, but their consciousness is there, and they so are with you." Then don't grieve. That it's just crazy.
Well,
Please
grieving
don't
is
do it.
necessary. There is a grieving process that we do. I mean, I had the same. My boyfriend was standing outside my back window here. I hadn't seen him in 10 years, my ex-boyfriend, and before that 14, and he just appeared. I had the same experience, and I couldn't get out the back door to see him because it was locked, and the key was across the room, and I didn't want to leave to get the key, and I thought, and he definitely was he's still around me all the time, so they never leave because we love them, and they're not trapped, they're not stuck. This other thing, "Oh, don't hold on to them," that's nonsense. They're free will, they can leave whenever they
Yeah,
want, and
yeah.
they can come back
Hold on
whenever
to
they
them.
want.
Yeah, because they are there. They are still consciousness. They still exist, but in another form. And it is a similar. It's not holding on to them for the "oh my God, I can't let you go." It's a continuance of the connection that is awesome. And why you don't have to let them go. They want to be with you. When I get to spirit, I'm going to want to come back and bug a few people who've gone, but to come back and watch over those people I've loved and cared about, and be with them, like I believe, for eternity. Sorry, folks. I'm
No,
around here
well,
forever.
and you will create another life with those who you love and those who you
Yeah.
want to be with, including your pets. And you can create, I always say this to people, you can create a rom-com, you can create a horror story, you can create an Elizabethan drama. Because guess what, folks? It's all happening at the same time. Parallel lives, all happening at the same time. You can actually go back to Shakespeare's time in another life in the future. I mean, that's the craziness of it all. And, you can create a mixture of all of it. You can create, a hero story, an epic story, a romance story, a mishmash of everything. And it really is all the world's a stage, and we are mere players in it. It really is that. Shakespeare was very eloquent when he said that. And I believe that. I believe that, I signed up for life to express and experience my psychic gifts. And I had to go through certain experiences. I had to have my first boyfriend die. He signed up for that too, because nobody dies before their time, ever, even a baby. We choose our lives, we choose our birth, we choose our families, we choose our death, we choose how we're going to die. We choose why we're going to die at that time. Sometimes suicide, sometimes not. Why do people commit suicide? Because this is what I mean about the lies. We're told so many lies. If we were told the truth, nobody would commit suicide because you would realize you chose to be here. You know, why would you want to leave if you chose to be here? Suicides don't go to any bad place. They don't go to hell. Hell doesn't exist. There's no purgatory. That's nonsense too. They go to the same experience as you and me when we die. But they might go over and talk to their guides and say, oh, gee, the medicine. Because we have people committing suicide from psychotic medicine. I mean, that is also, you know, depression. Medicine for depression is toxic as hell. And, well, I have my opinions about that, and you know, I would never take that. I wouldn't give it to an ant. I wouldn't give it to a dog. I love dogs and cats, so I wouldn't even say that. But I wouldn't give it to a flea. I really wouldn't give it to anyone. And the big pharma knows it. It says on the label, suicidal and homicidal feelings can occur by taking this drug. So I'll just buy a gun, it's legal to buy in the States, and I'll go into a Walmart and kill everyone. I mean, you know, gee, oh well, shouldn't have took the Prozac, shouldn't have took the this and that and the other thing. In the end, you know, people have to start dealing with their inner selves, and not just therapy. The biggest breakthrough in the 20th century, which makes so much sense, why were our grandparents who went through World War I and World War II not depressed? Because they ate real food, they ate healthy food that was grown in healthy sunshine and soil and with decent clean water. And when you have a good gut bacteria and your stomach is able to feed your brain in the proper way, you can't be depressed. Your mood stabilizers all occur in your brain. And if you eat healthy, no processed food, no junk food, no sugar, you can't be depressed. You can't be suicidal. You just can't. And this is the breakthrough now. And I'm telling all my clients, get amino acids. If you're depressed, get 5-HTP, get GABA, get tryptophan. Read, there's wonderful books on them. There so many health summits that are free online. Listen to them. If your teenagers are on this, if you know anyone on this, get them the hell off of it and go and see Trudy Scott. Trudy Scott wrote a book about anti-anxiety and Dr. Julia Ross. And I always promote them. And it's all about what you eat is how you feel. Okay, I'm going to stop on that now. I see that we can go back to readings. Okay, let's go. And no vaccines either. Don't even go there with me because I'm adamant.
That's another hour.
I hate vaccines.
Another show.
Don't talk
Another
to me about vaccines.
So, Shelley, who's in the chat room from the UK, is asking if you can connect with somebody for her. That would be fantastic.
Is this another Shelley? We had a Shelley. This is another
No,
Shelley.
we didn't have a Shelley. We didn't have
we did.
Shelley. Well, you didn't give her a reading.
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah, that was the first one. Right, Ted? Shelley.
I seem to remember Shelley having a reading, but
yeah.
No, you had Joanne and Sandra. You had Joanne, Chandra. Shelley did mention something. Then you had Araceli, but not Shelley.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I heard Shelley, so that's okay. Okay. So I'm doing this for Shelley, who's in the UK. Is there anyone in particular she wants to speak to? What did she say? Her grandpa? I didn't hear.
Anybody in particular, Shelley? No, she didn't say anybody. She just said.
Okay, it's all right.
Yes,
okay, let me just say that I've got a little bit of a heartache story here for Shelley. She's either gone through in the immediate past some very difficult romance story, which she's still kind of getting over. And all my cards are saying, get out, don't get stuck there, move on. You know, bigger fish in the sea. I've got a card of make do with what you can now, but look forward, don't look backwards. Happiness is coming, and there are better horizons and better people coming into your life. This has been quite a tumultuous year for her. I've got like a seesaw, roller coaster of emotions here. I've also got will I ever? Questions like that coming up. Will I ever have this? Will I ever get that? Will I ever be this? When you go for will I ever, you're stuck in the helpless victim, right? Make it happen. Don't wait for it. Make it happen. Take a step-by-step change. See, this is the other thing that I could go on for an hour about. Are we just puppets on a string to God, to spirit, to angels, to whoever you want to use? Or do we have a brain and a body? And most of us, not all of us, these things work perfectly, no. But, you know, as best we can, let's create the life we are co-creators in this universe. We are creating every single day. So can we stop being victims about our lives? We're in charge of our lives as best that we can. You want to get well? Focus on wellness, not illness. You want to be happy? Be happy. Just be happy. And whatever happens in your life, be happy, right? So you have cards here of good things coming up. Now, I don't get people in spirit for her right now. I don't know why. Maybe there's people aren't available right now. I get a dog, actually, in spirit. Hello, I just got a pet here. I just got a dog all by himself who's come to say hello to Shelley. So, oh, I feel a lot of tears now with this animal. Not the animal, but with Shelley. So, does this make sense, Shelley? You've got a dog who's wagging his tail. It feels like a male dog, wagging his tail, not a big dog, a medium-sized dog, very, very loving, long snout, like almost like a collie, okay, and just giving a lot of love for you and a big smile. And I feel childhood. Maybe this dog is from your childhood.
She's not written back. She did say it would be nice if her brother came through.
Don't have him here. Can't force people to come.
Well, of course.
Maybe he's just not ready, but I definitely have a dog here, and the dog is giving a lot of love to her and saying hello. I feel this is a childhood dog. I feel him with either a black and white, like, you know, those sheep dogs, you know, or a collie type dog. It's got hair, you know, and a pointed snout. And it could be a mixed breed. I'm not getting the images that clear, but I'm getting a shape, and definitely a dog, and barking hello, and giving me a lot of wagging tail stuff and happiness, and you know, really would love. I think he comes up on her bed once in a while. I've had this with my dog who passed. I passed a long time ago. I felt that dog jump up on my bed. You know, people know that. If you've been married 50 years and your husband dies, the next day after he dies, guess what, folks? He's laying in the bed with his wife. And the wife can feel the bed go down. The wife can smell him. So, you know, she's not going crazy. This is them. This is what they're used to, you know, and this is what they want to do. They want to be with the people they love. So don't freak out if you feel that, you know, because it means that that person's with you.
Right.
And same with our pets. They can come back, and you can hear them sometimes, or you just get a feeling of something in the house. You know, I caught a glimpse not long ago. I have another cat who passed away, and I just caught a glimpse of little black ears. She had little black ears. And Romeo, my cat now, is a brown and black striped, you know, tabby. He doesn't look at all like that, and he's alive and well. So, you know, just giving different advice here. I want this woman to, you know, I feel like I want to look forward. The past is the past. Learn from it. Don't go back to it. I feel that there's good things ahead for her. even if this year was tumultuous, you know, in the last year, 2014, this year. New horizons. I keep getting this word, new horizons, for her. So new beginnings, new horizons. You know, that's very important, to allow yourself to let go. Sometimes, you know, we build up as best we can where we are, and we need to let go and move on and start another place. And that gives a lot of freedom for the soul to be creative, meeting new people who you're meant to meet. You know, I've moved around many times in my life, been many places, and now with Facebook, God, you know, all my old friends are on. You know, it's wonderful. I get to talk to everyone. You know, so yeah, I would say that's the story with Shelley. I hope we get some feedback on that.
Okay. She said that her cousin had a sheep, an English sheepdog, but she had a neighbor who had a black and white collie who she had a lot of connection to. Very
Okay.
noisy. So yes, she appreciates that.
Okay.
And thank you very much, Shawn, for that reading on behalf of Shelley. And
Okay.
indeed, on behalf of everybody here who you have given readings to, who we've had time to, we give you a big thanks for sharing philosophy, your experience, your talents and your gifts and your inspiration. And,
Thank you,
you know,
Nina.
thank you very much for being a guest. And
My
for
pleasure.
anybody who wants to have a reading with Shawn, or perhaps look at her book her ebook on tarot, which is very good and available on Amazon, I believe, isn't it?
It's on my website, Blurb.
Oh,
It's on Blurb, www.blurb.com. It's called the Tarot Workbook by Shawn Cohen. And but if you go on my website, there's a link to it. You can just click there; it'll take you straight there. And you can get it on a download, ebook, or you can get it as a hardback, softback, whatever you choose. You can
that's
have it
great.
on a Kindle, on your phone, so it's great. It's easy to learn on.
I hope that you've taken Shawn's website down, which has been on the screen the whole time, www.tarotbyshawncohen.weebly.com. And do look at her, have a reading with Shawn. She's fantastic. And will you be teaching, Shawn?
Right now, I may be going to visit my mom in the States over the summer, and my friends I haven't seen for quite a while. So, and I will be working a little bit. I always work on the internet, so if people want to have readings anywhere in the world, they can Skype me, and all that information is on my website. I just put the link up in the chat room. I would say that teaching usually, maybe in September I'll go back and do some teaching, but right now this summer, no plans for it. Busy with other things. My daughter's going to university in September, so we're going to, you know, have quite a summer together, I think.
That's
So,
great.
but I'm working, doing readings, doing past life regressions, astrology charts, absolutely, and can book me anytime on my website. I'm on Google Plus, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. All that's on my website, and you can find me there. Somebody just asked to add me on
So highly
Skype.
recommended. If you've been impressed by Shawn's gifts and her ability to express herself, please do have a reading. So now, on behalf of myself and all of our virtual visionaries who've been participating in this show now and in the future via our archive program, on behalf of Ted and Era and Nick and myself, thank you very much for appearing on Virtual Vision FM. And
Thank you.
bye-bye to everybody. Join us next week when we have a surprise guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. God
Good night.
bless.
Thanks,
Good
Shawn.
night.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye now. Bye.